GeekWire Studios here at AWS reInvent, and we're going to talk about securing AI. I want to introduce my guest to you right now. This is Spencer Thellmann, the Principal Product Manager at Palo Alto Networks. How are you doing today?
Doing well, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I want to talk obviously about securing AI. From your perspective, what security-related AI threats should companies actually be paying attention to? It's a very big space right now.
Of course, yeah, so I've spent about 1,000 hours now speaking to CIOs and CISOs about AI security, so I've sort of heard it all, right? From, my chatbot is being jailbroken and being encouraged to do things it's not meant to do, it's leaking data that it shouldn't have access to, all the way to my agent is deleting databases and it shouldn't be doing that, right? So as you said, the field is broad and deep, and ultimately this comes down to the fact that AI is non-deterministic. You can't control what someone asks your chatbot or agent, and you also really can't control what comes back to the end user. And because of that, there's sort of randomness or risk, both on the input and the output. So what we believe is it's really important to look at inputs and outputs to apps and agents and check them for threats like prompt injections, toxic content, malicious code, and sensitive URLs and other kind of data patterns as well.
It's interesting because you can list those things in bullet point format, but the actual execution of that is a mammoth task. So now I want to talk about companies who say, okay, I've heard this, where do I even start?
Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and in my view, there's 5 things that companies have to do. If they do those 5, they're well ahead of anyone else in the space, basically. You have
ready to take notes.
Of course. The first is you have to scan your AI model files for threats before you run them, just like you do with container images today. Because AI model files are just folders that contain different subfiles, and each file can contain threats. Threats like malware, CVEs, references to known C2 servers, etc. So you have to scan your AI model files for threats before you run them, so you know that you're only running benign models in production. That's the first step. The second is evaluating the posture of your apps, agents, models, and data. One example is, let's say you have an AI model and the endpoint is exposed to the public internet. That means that the adversary, if they find that endpoint, could burn your tokens, which is a financial sort of disadvantage. But also, if your model was fine-tuned on corporate sensitive information, the adversary could exfiltrate that data back out of the model. So that's why it's important to understand the posture, but also the lineage of data in the context of AI. So that's the second. The third is you have to red team or pen test your agents and chatbots before people do. You have an obligation to attack your own systems before the adversary does, so you know where the threats are, and then you can block those off before a human being even tries to do any of that. That's really integral. And then the insights from that third step you can use to inform the fourth, which is runtime security, enforcing the guardrails. So once you know that, let's say, my chatbot or agent is capable of generating toxic content or malware, you want to actually be able to check for that on the input and output and block it if it happens. So there's a really strong flywheel between continuous red teaming and runtime security that we're developing right now. And the fifth and final part is agent security across both runtime and posture, but I'm sure we'll speak about that some more later today.
You're absolutely right. When it comes to security teams who now have this large list of things that they need to consider as they're getting ready to work more successfully in this space and to secure, how does agentic AI factor into these conversations? Because now you're dealing with agents that can reason and make decisions on their own.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's always important to define what an agent is. So an agent is an autonomous application that has the ability to take action on behalf of a user or an enterprise, and it does this by invoking tools, and it creates a shared context through memory, both short and long term, just kind of like a human would. And so it's those things that make an agent powerful, the memory, the autonomy, the action, the tool use, that also make them dangerous or risky, right? And so the way I think about it is that agent security is a superset of AI security. All of the traditional risks, data loss prevention, toxic content, prompt injections, all those things still matter, but because agents go beyond in their memory and their tool use and in their autonomy, we have to start thinking about things like tool misuse, memory manipulation, cascading hallucinations, in addition to all of the posture kind of related risks that exist. And so that's how we think about the space. And it's important to sort of ground this in the understanding that there's really 3 different kinds of agents. There are cloud agents, such as those running in AWS, we call those enterprise agents. There's SaaS agents, so those agents that employees are creating in all the different kind of productivity SaaS apps that they use on a day-to-day basis. And then there's endpoint agents, things like agentic coding IDEs that are running on laptops, and each of those has their own runtime and posture-related risks, and we're putting a lot of effort in to sort of guarantee that we can secure each of them in equal measure, including AWS Bedrock agents, because we're at reInvent today.
Over and over again at this particular conference, we are hearing about securing AI. For you personally, given everything we've discussed, what are you most interested in either learning more about or professionally tracking while you're here?
Certainly the agents piece. A lot of the customers that I work with, they actually leapfrog chatbots. They skip chatbots entirely, and now they're building agents at scale. And the space is developing really quickly. We're seeing a lot of organizations build internal agents to supercharge productivity, efficiency, and creativity, but also external agents for their own customers. And each of those carries their own kind of set of risks. And the reason I come to work every day is I'm a fundamental believer in this kind of technology. I think it's incredible, and it's going to push humanity forward, but at the same time, it introduces risk. So if I can help enterprises to ship more agents faster that are also more secure, right, I will sort of have done my job. And so that's why I'm so excited to be at reInvent today, to learn more about what's happening in agent land so that we can learn how to secure those things so that enterprises can continue to push this at scale.
Very well put, Spencer. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Steph Stricklen. You're watching GeekWire Studios.